and welcome to week 3 of Aloha 24 June. Let me know how the sound is, quality, everything okay? Not like last time. If you guys follow me over on Instagram, you know that I have spent the last month over in Germany with my family, and the last live stream here on YouTube, well, we had some technical difficulties in the beginning, some kind of an echo. So I just want to make sure everything's okay today. So please let me know. Thumbs up. Sound and audio are okay. I hope so. Okay, so I've been back here in Hawaii for about a week now, and we have about a 12-hour time difference between Germany and Hawaii. So I've been, oh, I don't know if you can hear that. It's BC, my cat, in the background. He's hungry. Sorry about that. Anyways, I've been back for about a week, and I've been getting up really early, and honestly, I love it. I can see the sunrise. So how about you guys? Are you guys early risers, or do you like to sleep in whenever possible? So for me, I usually sleep longer, but I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that I'm getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock these days. Today, we will paint a fruit stand. So if you've participated in the challenge this month, you know that the theme this month is farmers market, and the combination of media is watercolor and ink. So today we're gonna paint some tropical fruits, and I'm gonna lay out the steps for you in a minute when we turn around the camera. But basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw the outlines first and then color everything in with watercolor. All right, let's turn the camera around and get started. And as you know, it's gonna be shaky shaky, you know that. Here we go. Take over the phone holder as well. This way, okay. And in a minute, I'm going to be able to look at my iPad as well and see your comments. All right, just another second. Okay, just want to make sure it's safe in the holder so it doesn't topple. Okay, please let me know at any moment if you want me to zoom in or zoom out. All right, let me look at the, oh, hi everybody. Hi Sylvie, Alina, hi Mom. Hi Tracy and Mishi. Oh, wonderful. All my favorite people. Okay, so, all right, let me see if you can tell the difference, because I made 2 versions of the same thing and I know they look the same, but I'm wondering if you can see the difference between how the lines look over on the left side here and how the lines look over here. Okay, I'm going to tell you. So over here, the lines appear more crisp and dark, because in this case, I painted the watercolor first, and then as a last step, I added the black outlines. And over on this side, I did the line work first, let everything dry, and then I added the watercolor in the last step. So depending on several factors, of course, but depending on what kind of look you're going for, you can choose the technique accordingly. If you want your outlines to be more muted, you can do the watercolor last. So you can just paint over your lines, make them a bit more mute, and then over on this side, everything looks more crisp. So you do the watercolor first and then add the outlines. Naturally, if you want your outlines to not be so bold, you can also just use a different color. You could use a dark brown, an indigo, or a gray outline instead of pure black. Okay, today, just let me lay out the steps for you. We're gonna start with a pencil sketch. So basically a geometrical shape like this. Then we're gonna just trace our pencil sketch. And it's really important with these kind of brush pens to let the outlines dry really well so that the pen is waterproof. You can use a hair dryer if you want to be absolutely sure. I'm going to talk about these brush pens in a minute. And then in step 3, we're going to color the first layer of the watercolor. And while it's still a little bit wet, we're going to add the shadows. And then in the last step, when everything's really dry, we're gonna add some more details and paint the baskets. All right, let's go. Let's start with the sketch. So I'm gonna try to arrange everything so you can see the end result as well as the sketch. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Okay. As you can see, I brought over some paper from Germany, from Stifteliebe, which is a small store, an online store in southern Germany run by a lovely couple. However, this paper is by Hahnemühle. So this is Hahnemühle Expression paper. It's a cold press with a quite fine grain, and it's 100% cotton. I'm only telling you this because if this is, even though this is their paper, it's, I mean, Stifteliebe's paper, it is actually Hahnemühle. The only special thing about this paper is that it comes in a square format, and that's why they ordered it this way. Because Hahnemühle usually, to my knowledge, doesn't sell their paper in a square format. Next, the brush pens. I already showed you. So these are Japanese calligraphy brush pens from Tombow. Tombow means dragonfly, by the way. And there are 2 different kinds. So the one you see on the top, the dark blue one, is the one with the harder, more firm tip. And the one at the bottom, which is black, or I should say the casing is black, it has a more soft tip. So they almost look identical, and you know, I mean, the difference isn't too big, but especially when you buy them new, you will feel the difference. After a while, they both get softer. But the pen with the dark blue casing is the one with the firm tip. But as you can see, because I've used it quite a bit, it already is a bit softer at this point as well. And then the black one is the one with the softer tip. So, like this. It really is a matter of preference, what you like better. So for me, I'm sorry, I just realized, excuse me, I made a mistake here. Soft tip, of course. Okay, so cancel the previous picture. Darn it, it's live. Okay, here we go again. This is the correct one. So, I was gonna say, if you like painting with brushes and lettering with brushes, I think you will find that you prefer the soft tip. So that will be the black casing. And if you are more into drawing with a fine liner usually, and you prefer a firmer tip, then I would recommend you the dark blue one here with a dark blue casing. They're both black, so the ink is black in both cases, but I'm just talking about the different color of the casing. Both of these pens have to dry really thoroughly to become waterproof. If you don't wait long enough and you go over them with watercolor, you will smear the ink. So that's one thing you really have to pay attention to. Okay, let's move over to the paints. I have a few here of my own handmade watercolors, Aloha watercolors. I'm going to be using a buff titanium Indian yellow. This is a Naples orange, opera pink. What's this one here? Oh, Humu Humu. Ah, I have not used that in a long time. I actually thought this was a different color. This is a kind of like a lemon yellow. Then Heliconia is a medium crimson red. I have a synthetic indigo here. This is a chromium oxide green, and this is a lime green here. As always, feel free to use whatever brand you have at hand. And of course, you can use different colors as well. But as we're painting tropical fruits today, I brought you a little mango. You can see that predominantly you want to be using yellow and red and green for this one. And then we also have some lychees here. So that's where the pink goes. Some tangerines, jackfruit, and melons. Melons aren't even tropical, but they were at the fruit stand where I went to last week, so I included them as well. Pineapples, lemons, and some green things. I don't even remember what those were. All right. Do you have any questions so far? Let me know. Okay, so let's see. Today I'll also be using a new brush that was gifted to me by my friend Denise, Art Moments from Switzerland. So this brush, even though this is made in Germany, actually it's made in Bavaria, where I'm from originally. It's a Shimoni Art brush, size 6 round brush. So this lady, Monika Schick, lives in Switzerland, and she has this brush fabricated and sells it in Switzerland, but it's originally made in Germany. It has, so I'd say the best feature about it is a really, really sharp point. The bristles are, I'd say, a medium between soft and firm. So if you're familiar with the Kum brushes, also German, these ones here, these would be a little more firm than this one. So I'd say this one is really great for regular for watercolor painting or pure watercolor painting. So loose florals and the like, any type of loose watercolor, but also details because of the great tip. Okay, so this is a size 6 round brush. And of course, you can use whatever brand you have. I always want to emphasize that, because even though I will tell you what I'm using, it's not what it's about in my painting sessions. You should just go with whatever you have. And I usually, for the sketch, would do a very, very light sketch, if at all. I would probably normally just go in with my outline pen, but for you guys I will use a pencil which is pretty soft. This is what's left of my Blackwing, and just so you can see the lines better, I'll use a really soft one today. Just looking over at the chat, and Michelle said, oh, you got the Shimoni. Yes, exactly. She got me to number 4 and number 6. I'm just so lucky, you guys. I mean, you guys keep sending me happy mail. It's just really wonderful. Sylvie sent me 2 packages this time while I was in Germany. Just amazing. So I encourage you to not use a ruler. Just, even if the line's wonky, don't worry about it. Look at my line. It's super wonky. There is a trick if you want to do more straight lines. You find out what your best direction is to draw. You put down your wrist and then you just basically move your whole arm. So let's try that for the second line. Down here. Okay, just try and move your whole arm down like this. It's still wonky, but it's probably a little bit better. Okay, so 2 parallel lines, and then we'll add 2 lines here and here. If you're not using a square paper today, of course, feel free to change the shape of the boxes. Let's do another line over here, parallel to this one, makes it easier perspective-wise. Look at my wonky lines, you guys. This is hilarious. Okay, we have the first box here. Maybe we'll make that a little smaller. And then the second box over here. And one here. Then we'll pretty much do the same thing down here. And because I'm using a square paper, naturally, this is where my box ends. But as I just mentioned, please feel free to draw the boxes in whichever shape you like. You can make them more square. Or, you know, you could just make them really small and end them like this. And then for this painting, I actually used one of my own reference photos that I had taken. I've taken last weekend when I went over to the other side of the island to go to one of my favorite markets. And they had all these crates stacked on top of each other. If you want to check out the reference photos and videos, I put them in my Instagram story today on both of my accounts. So you can see all the beautiful tropical fruits and veggies. It's one of the biggest fruit markets we have here on the island. And they even charge an entrance fee, which is kind of rare here, but I would say it's absolutely worth it. I mean, they give it all. It's fruits, vegetables, handmade items, it's honey, and then there's really a ton of food available there too. You can have handmade goodies. It's a beautiful market, and it's only once a week, every Sunday. It's pretty far for me to drive. I mean, it's like 2.5 hours, so I usually only go there when I'm staying on the other side of the island anyways. I'm using my Tombow with the firm tip, so the one with the blue casing. And for you guys, depending on what kind of line you like, please feel free to use a different type of pen. You can use a micron. Just make sure whatever you use that it's waterproof. And you can test that out, of course, before you start painting. So just take a scrap piece of paper and make some little doodles, wait for it to dry, paint over it with some water or watercolors, and then you'll see. It sounds pretty simple, right? But for example, I tried a few pens one time and I didn't wait long enough for the line to dry, so I just naturally figured that they are not waterproof, even though they were. Okay, you guys, pay attention here to this part because I'm not actually filling out all the lines yet because some of the fruit peek over the rim or edge of the crate. So we're gonna draw in some of the fruits first and then finish the line work of the crates and baskets. So this is one of my melons. And now that I have this one here peeking out, I can finish my box. I draw another one over here. And how about one more over here? And draw in the line of my box like this. As you can see, I keep it very loose. And for you, of course, you can be as detailed as you like, but I will encourage you to try and work with a little bit more of a loose line work today. If you're using a brush pen of some sort, try and make the lines thinner and thicker. You can do a lot of variation with a brush pen. So here, for example, just pressing down harder makes the line thicker. Lifting it up makes the line thinner, and it makes for some interesting variation in your line work. By the way, the reason I'm putting this under my hand is so that I can avoid the oils of my fingers and hand smudging the paper, because then it almost repels the watercolor later. So the reason why sometimes when you paint watercolor on paper that you've previously touched and the watercolor kind of like beads off, might be that there have just been a few oils of your hand on the paper. Okay, some pineapples here very loosely, and of course, again, feel free to go more into the typical pattern and texture of the pineapple. So you could do little geometric shape, like, you know, like this. If you want to be a bit more pineapple-y, like that. The reason why I'm not really going into so many details is that I really want to keep the whole piece kind of loose and flowy. And if I stop for too many details, I think I kind of lose that flow. Okay, we got the pineapples. We got the mysterious green little fruit here. We got some lemons. And then again, I can go in and finish the line of this crate here. Okay, let's move over to this part. We have some tangerines in bags, so the bags are just going to be some blobs like this, and then a few more over here. And I'm still just using my brush pen, as I mentioned before, pressing down harder, lifting it up again to create some variations in the line. Up here we have some papaya. I think it was papaya up there. They're also peeking out from the box. Once I'm done drawing these, I can go back in and add the line for my crates. And over here, my last basket on top. So this was the one with, I think it was jackfruit. I'd have to check my reference photo. It might have been soursop as well. So jackfruit are huge. They are really the size of, they can be the size of large watermelons. They have kind of like a spiky skin, and they taste, you know how difficult it is to describe fruit? For example, imagine you have to describe strawberries to somebody who's never had strawberries. So jackfruit, they are slightly tangy, so there is some fruitiness to them, but the meat is almost, it's almost like meat, animal meat. So in a lot of vegetarian and vegan places here in town, they actually use jackfruit instead of, for example, beef, because it has a very interesting, almost meat-like texture and an excellent flavor. It's very juicy, and it also takes on sauces very well. So in whatever sauce you cook it in, it'll taste like that. So it's like a sponge soaking it up. I personally, I'm not vegetarian, but I love jackfruit. So I will go to that place and order jackfruit nachos or jackfruit tacos or something, and actually forego the meat version because the jackfruit are better. All right, let's look at our composition up here again. I'm noticing that I could maybe draw in another lemon up here. All right, should I zoom in a little bit, or is this a good distance away from the paper? Just let me know what you think, and I'll change it accordingly. Okay, I'm gonna add another line here, all parallel to each other. And next I'll add the signs. So here. Okay, thanks, Sylvie. So the signs in the reference photo were just made from pretty regular paper, maybe craft paper. So they were a bit crinkly around the edges. And they had some cute lettering on them. And I remember at that particular booth, the numbers, so the zeros of the numbers of the prices had little smiley faces in them. So if it said, for example, lemons 3 for 2, it was 2.00, and then it was smiley faces. I thought that was really cute. It's actually seriously what drew me to the stand, through the fruit stand, and I asked the lady if it's okay to film and take photos. And she was so kind and so nice. And of course, you know, then I bought something. I got some cauliflower, eggplant, and then she gave me one extra. That's so sweet. Okay, so let's move on to the bottom section here. And, you know, of course, you can, after, you know, the fact that you did all the watercolor, you can still go back in and add some more lines later on. This is not like done and done. Okay, but let's move on to the crates here at the bottom. So at the bottom, it was all mangoes. So for mangoes, I mean, they're pretty like an oval shape. This one is especially oval. Sometimes they have a little dip here, almost like a liver shape. But as I said, I don't even want to go there and be so exact with my shapes today. So just something that resembles an oval egg shape. Like this. Yeah, my lines are really wonky today. If you are there with me and yours are really wonky too, don't worry about it. This is the Friday wonky mango session. It's totally okay. I'm not adding this little dot to all of my mangoes, just to a few of them, and I try to do a little variation where I put them. Okay, I drew in my mangoes. Now I can go ahead and add the lines in between. Let's see. Let's do another one over here. Over here as well. All right. I'm only laughing about my wonky lines, so don't mind me. Oh, you guys, come on. I'm just looking over at the chat. You, stop it, you guys. Okay, last but not least, and one of my really most favorite fruit ever are the lychees. Oh, they're so good. So, have you guys had lychees? These guys? They are, ooh, I think I have lychees in the fridge. Just so if you don't know what lychees are, let me know in the chat, then I'll go and fetch some. That's a flavor, again, super difficult to describe. They're very sweet, almost fragrant like a perfume, I'd say. It's such an interesting delicacy of a fruit. The only drawback is, for some people, I heard that because it looks kind of like an eyeball, that, you know, they don't really dig it. But I love them, and I don't care what it looks like. So Sylvie never had a lychee. Alina never had one. Ah, but you know what they look like? As I said, I can go and fetch, or I can make Mr. Coffee go and fetch some. Jamesy, could you please kindly go to the fridge and get some lychee? I want to show them.
Sure. Lychee out of the fridge?
Yeah. No, that was easy. All right, for the box down there, we'll just add some shadows. So you'll just stay parallel to this line here.
which is also parallel to these lines. Da, 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 da. Okay, now that I started with the shading, we can do some more of that up here. Just some quick strokes. If your brush pen is a bit older, like mine is, you'll get some really nice dry brush texture. Don't throw away your old brush pens when they, if they still have a little bit of ink. You can use them so well for specific purposes, like adding texture, dry brush texture. I know it's dangerous and it might lead to, us hanging on to all the old stuff, all the old pens, but in this particular case, really, it's so nice. Dry brush technique, absolutely love it. Okay, just go all around and add some, I could use some lines in here maybe. We'll also add shadows with some darker watercolor later, but of course with the black ink, it'll be a bit more visible, more extreme. Here come the lychee.
Well, it kind of looks like this, but
no, that's a
smaller.
mountain. It's a mountain apple. Oh, we don't have lychee anymore? Oh, you're funny. So he just came here and told me, yeah, looks kind of like a lychee. It's not. This is a Hawaiian mountain apple. Oh, yeah, So that's something else. These are the lychee. They look kind of brown already. I think we have to eat them soon, like now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually those are really pinkish red. So I think the fact that I store them in the fridge makes them brownish, golden, orange. The thing is, I love them from the fridge. When they're really cold, so good. Imagine a watermelon from the fridge. How good that is in the summer, when the meat is really nice and cold and juicy. So same with these fruit. So other fruit, don't work from the fridge. I mean, I don't put bananas in the fridge because they just turn black and I don't like them cold. I like them, room temperature. But some of them, like mangoes, papaya, lychee, even pineapple is great from the fridge, I think. Okay, let's see, what else? Just maybe a few more here. In between the signs. Okay. Sylvie says she loves all the melons. Yeah, for me, that's one of the very few things where I'm a bit picky about. I can eat watermelon, but the other ones I really don't like. I try them again every year or so just to see, but I'm not really fond of them too much. The cantaloupes, the honey melons, all these, not really for me. It seriously is one of the very few things that probably the only one that I don't eat or don't like licorice and melon. As you can see, I'm really scribbling here. I'm not trying to be legible with the writing here. You can, of course. Okay, all right. Alina says melon is her favorite. I still like you, Alina. Alina, it's okay. You can like melon. My mom loves melon too, so one of these days. Hey, it's already gotten better. So let me tell you guys, as a child, I almost threw up literally, even when I smelled melons, man, it was so weird. And then later, I really tried it again and again. And now, if it's in a fruit salad or something, I actually eat it. I don't even, I just eat it. Whenever I'm on the plane flying over to Europe, for example, every time there's a fruit salad, it's 85% melon. They call it a fruit salad, but it's basically melon with like one grape. So I just eat it. But I'm not crazy about it. Okay, over in the chat, Michelle says, that was me with fish as a kid. Oh, really? No way. Hold on, but so Michelle is Mexican American. Wait, but in Mexico, you guys eat a lot of fish, right? Oh, I bet that was tricky with your family. It would have been with mine too, because my mom's Japanese, so fish is such a staple. Not liking fish, they would, I mean, if you're a vegetarian, that's a totally different story, but let's say you eat everything and no fish, that would be tricky. It was awful. LOL. Yeah, I can imagine. But you like it now. So I think we all change, right? The the taste changes. And I remember as a kid I didn't like olives and eggplant and stinky cheese. Love it all now. So there's still hope, you guys, for everything. Okay, I know this might be a bit over the top, but I will go and use a hair dryer on this just to make sure it's really dry. Okay, be right back. And I'm back. Let's see if I can find an eraser. The beauty about doing it this way, pencil sketch first, then ink, is that you can erase the pencil lines before you start with the watercolor process. When you do the watercolor first, right on top of the pencil sketch, then of course you'll see the pencil marks later on shining through the watercolor. Unless you're really smart and you just draw over the pencil marks with your ink. Okay, this is also a really good way to see if your inking lines are really dry. So I would always start somewhere in the corner to see if your ink smears once you start erasing the pencil marks. If it does, just wait a little longer for everything to dry completely, or use a hairdryer or heat tool. Okay, looking good. Yes, Sylvie, that's your eraser. Rubber, that's British. I realize when I watch videos from British artists, they say rubber, and I just love it. The differences between American and British English always crack me up. The trousers and the rubber. Oh, there was another one. I just heard that this morning. Oh, what was it? I can't remember. Just made me smile. Oh, it was such a good word. I wish I could remember. Yeah, where it actually took me a few seconds to remember what it means, because it's so different in American. Okay, Michelle says oregano is my, oh, you mean the Brits say oregano? Oh, wait, by the way, they also say aluminium, as we also say in German, aluminium. People still laugh about me when I say aluminium, because that's, you know, British. That's how I learned it. So in America, you say aluminum. And Sylvie says boot and trunk. Oh, yes, the car, right? The car trunk in the back. Mm-hmm. The boot. And then the boot's always that thing that you put on your feet too. Very confusing. It's so fun. I mean, I could go and do this all day. Differences between British and American English. So funny. And then you move over to Australia and South Africa, and then you're just lost. It's so funny. Right, Alina? Aluminium. Yes. So there is this theory with aluminium that the Americans kind of dropped the I, the, you know, the second one at some point, and then they were like, okay, whatever, it's okay. That is a very, very unscientific, unprofessional view of yours truly, so don't mind me. Okay, you guys, we have done our pencil sketch, our ink lining, everything is dry. And now we're gonna do the first layer of the watercolor. Okay, I'm not gonna dip my brush in my tea. No, no. I use my water container. And we're just gonna do the first basic layer. I'm using my lime green. You might want to use a palette for this step, just so you can get a nice light wash. I think this is off camera though, huh? Yeah. Just dilute the paint a little bit. With some water. And if you make quite a lot of it, you can go through your whole illustration in one go. As you can see, I'm really very quickly and loosely, pretty much with one stroke, not even minding my outlines. I'm really just going over the whole thing very quickly. And again, if this is totally against your grain, you can just do your style and be very precise. Totally fine too. Really go with your own flow. All right, this is the top part, and then here at the bottom, quick strokes to the mangoes. In this case, I'm not filling them out completely because I'll add some red, yellow, and dark brown later. Oh, I just realized I didn't bring my dark brown. Okay, gonna go grab that in a moment. Or maybe I have one in here. Let's see. Oh, I do. Oh, perfect. Okay. All right, little edit. I will also use some Kaleo. That's a Van Dyke brown, I think. I have too many paints at this point, you guys. I can't remember my own paints anymore. I think it's a Van Dyke brown. Very, very dark, rich brown, at least. That's what I know. Okay, I'm rinsing out my brush, and I'll move over to my yellow. No need to dilute that. I'm just going to use this straight out of the pan and dabbing it into my lemons, here into the papaya. You could, of course, do the yellow step first, looking at how this is the lightest color. I don't know why I started with the green, probably because I cover so much with the green and I'm just adding a little bit, a few spots of yellow here and there. But generally speaking, you always want to start with the lightest color first and then move to the darker ones. I'm rinsing my brush. I'm adding some of my orange. And again, using this one straight out of the pan and dabbing it in here, a little bit into the papaya. My paper is still moist, so I'm not waiting for it to dry in this step because I actually do want the colors to blend a little bit in this step. For the next one, we'll wait till the paper is dry, but for this step, I really want everything to blend a little bit. All right, then adding some orange here to my mangoes. Not a lot, just a few strokes here and there. I'm rinsing my brush, grabbing some of my opera pink. If you don't have opera pink, you can just use a neon pink and some quinacridone magenta. Or you can do a neon pink and some type of red that you have. So for this one, I'm just filling out the complete box here with the lychees. Just grabbed some water from my water container and making a pretty smooth layer here for the lychees. I'm grabbing some of this diluted paint and then dropping it into my mangoes here. The reason why I'm doing this here now with dropping the pink in some other part of my painting, and even though I didn't do it in my original painting, is that normally I always try and use the same or one color in another spot as well for balance. So unless I want to put a total emphasis on the lychee here, using just this one color in this one place, I want to try and balance the piece out more. So as I said, I usually try and use all the colors all around, so to speak. Because I have to say, when you look at this painting here, that because this is bright neon pink, it does draw the viewer's eye a little bit to this spot. So yeah, just as a side note, I would, probably go in at this point and maybe add some pink somewhere else so it's more balanced. All right, let's add some red. This is my medium crimson red. Okay, my paper is still wet. I'm just adding a few dots here and there in the lychees box. Adding a few to the mangoes. And let's see, maybe up here. Okay, next step, I'm gonna go back to my hair dryer because we're gonna add some more shadows here in between the fruits. And at this point, because my paper is pretty wet in a lot of parts, it would just blend too much because I'm going to use a dark brown and a buff titanium, and I think it would just be too muddy if I did this now. So I'm gonna go and dry and I'll be right back. here we are back again. Okay, how's it going, you guys? Are you painting along? Are you just watching? If you're painting along, I hope it's going well. Let me know if you have any trouble with the painting process, and I'll try to help. I can explain something if you're not sure. Okay, next I'm going to use my buff titanium. It's called vanilla in this case, but it's just a regular buff titanium off-white opaque, lovely, lovely color. One of the colors I use the most. Okay, I'm watering it down on my palette, making a nice puddle, because we're gonna use it all over pretty much all the crates and boxes. The reason why I use this color so much is that I also use it for mixing. So instead of white, I find myself using this a lot. For well, basically to make watercolor more opaque too, because this is such an opaque color. You can use it to make a transparent watercolor more opaque. You can almost go to a gouache consistency. Okay, Alina is watching and eating melon. Well, it's already 9 p.m. where you're at, right? So I personally love painting in the evening and at night, even though for my job, so to speak, I paint mostly in the morning for the videos and tutorials and all that. But personally, for my own personal work, I love painting at night. I don't know, it's so quiet. I feel like I've done everything, you know, my work's done. And then I can sit down and just paint. Ah, okay. Oh, it's already 10 where you're at, Alina. Well, you're more, yeah, you're east of Germany, so I didn't know. I thought you were 12 hours. Oh, thanks for watching. Even more then. It's so late. You know, it's kind of tricky for me to find a good time to accommodate all folks because it's, well, it's, you know, right now 9 a.m. here in Hawaii. And I know that, for example, over in Australia, it's, I think it's 6 a.m. now. So my live streams for those folks start at 5 a.m., which is super early. But I think, you know, with this time, at least I can accommodate everybody on the mainland, America, and a lot of folks over in Europe. And then, of course, there's also the option to watch the stream later. Okay, I filled out all the in-between spaces with my buff titanium white. And oh, here it is, dark brown. Grabbing some of the paint, and I'm also diluting this a little bit. Just so that I have more control over how strong the color is on the paper. So I'm using a pretty fine wash of this dark brown. Just see, it's still very intense though. It's actually too intense. So I'm adding a bit more water. I'm picking up some of my really intensive line here with my brush and just emphasizing those lines here of the watermelon. And then adding some dark brown in between the fruit. So this just indicates that the crate here is a bit deeper. So it's not completely shallow. If you want more contrast, of course, you can add more pigment like this, and then it's going to look a bit more intense. Watercolor dries light, so once all this is dry, it'll be a bit lighter. So just remember that. But also remember that you can just add more paint later. Sometimes it's better to just wait for the first layer to dry and see how you like the result, and then you can still go over it. Get a bit closer here. Okay, so here the lines are a bit too harsh for me, so I rinsed my brush, dab it a little bit on my towel so it's not sopping wet. Then I just scrub here between the green and the brown to make the shadow a bit softer. Not too much. I mean, the overall look of this piece is pretty wild and there's a lot of dabs and dots from my brush, so don't want to make it too smooth, just a little bit. And then adding some more brown here in the dark spots, in between the fruit, and here at the bottom of the fruit. Okay, moving on to the bottom part. Alina says they're watching the soccer game. Oh, that's right, the European Championship, soccer championship. So, hold on, is it the 14th today? Ooh. Oh my goodness, I chose the worst time possible for my live stream. It's like the start of the European soccer champion. Isn't that today, like in the Allianz Stadium in Munich? Well, hey, more kudos to you guys for being here with me today. That's brilliant. Keiko forgot that there's Europameisterschaft. Yeah, well. That's funny. Is it starting now? Or is it has it already started an hour ago? I'm not even sure. I'm your priority. Oh, I love you guys. You are the sweetest. Okay, so I do remember it's Germany, Scotland though. Hey, how about that? I'm kind of proud of myself. I remember that at least. Oh, okay, so it started at 9 p.m. Germany time. I see. Well, we're almost done here. So just adding a few more dark brown blobs to indicate some shadow here. And then in order to make the mango look a bit more 3D oval shape, you can add a very, very, very light wash of brown to both sides of the mango, like this and this. Here and here. You can do this with all the round and oval shape. Just pretty much emphasize the round 3D nature of these fruits. This piece is pretty wild today. I like it. It's a bit different. I really like how every time I repaint the same thing, it looks a bit different. Sometimes it's only a little bit different, like these two original pieces. To me, they almost look identical. But today's one is really different. And I think it's also because I press down harder with my brush pen. So the lines are thicker and it just gives the overall impression of this thing being more wild. I like it. Different. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna grab my synthetic indigo. And because this is a very, very, very intense color, I'm gonna water that down too a little bit. And add it here to this box on the top right. So the good thing about taking a reference photo and really then painting after the reference is that you don't have to really come up with the shapes and the colors yourself, which, you know, I like that too. I do like drawing from memory or just going out and drawing on site, so to speak. But I also really, really enjoy taking reference photos and then just very leisurely sitting down and having like half of the work already done for me because I don't have to think about the colors or shapes. Okay, and remembering what I said earlier about repeating the same color somewhere else, I'm gonna also put some indigo here on this side. Oops, that's a bit intense. It's a bit strong here. It's adding a little bit here on this side. Okay, let's see how, yeah, this is pretty wet, but I'm still gonna try and paint this crate red here. Again, this is not something that I just made up. This is really something that showed up in my reference photo like that. So most of their crates were, you know, kind of like tan colored, gray, black, but some were red and green. So I just tried to copy that here in my illustration as well. All right. So this kind of technique you can really use for all sorts of, I will call it urban painting, even though, or urban sketching, even though this particular piece is not really urban per se. I think it refers more to a style where you go out, you see something, and you draw on site or you take a reference photo, and it's usually somewhere in your neighborhood or, you know, when you go traveling, you check out a new city or place and you see something that you find interesting, a building, a market, a little booth, it doesn't matter. It's really more about the going out, seeing something, and then trying to draw it. And in my experience, most urban sketches try to do it pretty quickly, so not too many details from what I've seen, at least. No, I might be wrong because it's not really my genre per se usually. But using this kind of technique where you first do a very rough sketch with a pencil and then you do the outlines and then add the watercolor, you can do that for any type of situation where you go and see something that you like. For me personally, as I said, I do prefer it the other way around, where I do the watercolor first and then I kind of define my blobs with the outline. So you should just go ahead and try it both ways and see what you feel more comfortable with. I can just say from my experience, if you do the watercolor part first, it will force you to work more freely and loosely because you don't really have the same control as if you did the pencil sketching and the outline and line work first. But it really depends on, who you are, how you want your art to be. And yeah, I will finish the session with this thought of you guys trying it maybe both ways for this piece or for one of the other pieces of my challenge. I also want to note today that I found that there is a community tab here on YouTube. I did not know that. And I put a poll in there. So please head over to the community tab and give me your voice. I was asking about possible future video ideas for my YouTube channel. So you can vote in the poll, or of course, you can just always text me with ideas for new videos. The next live stream will be next week. It's going to be on Friday again, or maybe I should check the schedule of the soccer championship. Anyways, it's going to be on June 21st, Friday, same time, same place. And we're going to draw a basket with things that we buy at the market. So I'm not exactly sure what that's going to be, but it's going to be something of that sort. That is a goal. Goal. Okay. Was it Germany? Is it 1-0 Germany now? Well, I let you guys go watch that soccer game. As always, please leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the session, and if you can and have time, a comment would be very, very much appreciated too. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. Have fun watching the soccer game, and I'll see you again next Friday here in my next live stream. Aloha. Bye.